Welcome to the shop. As you can see, I've got the FMS Avanti 90mm. Also have the Eflite Viper 90mm. Both outstanding jets. Really enjoy flying both of them. However, this is a comparison. So what I'm going to do is drill into that. Go over all the details of the components, pieces, parts, flight characteristics. How do they land? How do they take off? How do they do some of the maneuvers and so on and so forth? That's what this video is about. So if you have any questions, leave a comment. If you like this stuff, hit that like button. Let's get after it. The battery compartment on both of these planes is plenty big. Here's a 6,000, lots of room. You can go bigger and still have room to push the battery back if you need to. Both of these planes are outfitted with lights. The Avanti just has some simple navigation lights and a top and bottom, blinking light, whereas the Viper has a little higher fidelity lighting. Both planes have fantastic oleo struts. In fact, they appear to be the exact identical struts and retract system, which they are. There's a few areas on the Viper that have hard plastic wrapped around, like the intakes and different areas that just give it a little bit more polished feel, if you will, than the Avanti. Even though these planes are very similar, there's some differences that come out in the flyability. One is the wing. The Viper wing is slightly, I find it a little more slender, longer, but also the profiles are different. One being more of a flat bottom and the Viper being more of a semi-symmetrical or almost symmetrical wing. All right, so I just showed you how they're very similar from a component perspective. In fact, they're identical, and mine are identical. The exact same power plant is in my Eflite Viper because I bought the ready to fly, or almost ready to fly. Needed a power system. But the servos and retracts and all the pieces of parts, they're the same. So it really gets into the flyability. That's what I want to show next, at how that different wing profile might have some effect, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But more importantly, I'm just going to fly it, show some landings, takeoffs, braking system, that kind of stuff. And then go into 2, 4-minute flights. Same time, same day, same size battery, and just push it and just have some fun with it. So you can kind of tell for yourself some of the differences. So in the end, we'll do a summary and I'll tell you what I think about all of it. As you'd expect with any high quality sport jet, they both take off reasonably well. Flap, no flap, doesn't matter. At almost half throttle, maybe a little over, it'll have a smooth takeoff. Both of these planes land easily if you're up to the task, right? I felt the Avanti maybe slowed down just a little bit more on the approaches. My runway is a little over 100 yards long. And so coming in with some of these larger, heavier EDFs, need a little extra room, or these brakes, which work, the reverse thrust on both of them were very effective. Stall test with the Viper 90. Boy, it dropped a wing, and quite a bit, as you can see here, and kind of surprised me a little bit. Stall test with flaps. Boy, that was very different with the Viper. It just kind of mushed a little bit. Yeah, obviously, if you're coming in for a landing and that happens, you're going to pancake it a bit, but not bad. The Avanti, a little different clean. It didn't stall violently at all. As you can see here, it just kind of mushes down. I'm pulling full back on the elevator, and it didn't do much. And now with flaps, as you can expect, it was even more benign. So, absolutely from a stall perspective, this is where the Avanti shines a little brighter.
All right, let's summarize. As you can see, I probably have picked one. If I were to pick one, I'd probably go with the Viper, and I'll tell you why in a little bit here. But let me also say, I have flown both of these planes, and lately a lot, and both are excellent, excellent planes. I'm picking the Viper over the Avanti for a couple reasons. For me, the looks. I really love the looks of this plane, and that's a big factor. Flyability, I think this fly has a little bit more power on the up climbs and some of the speed, overall speed. This was faster. This is lighter. This also has a different wing profile slightly, which might lend it to be a better sport jet from doing an aerobatic perspective. Now that said, when I was doing like the stall tests, and you notice that the Avanti, it didn't have that stall like this one. A lot of people are afraid of the Viper because of the stall. This, if you want to stall it, it'll stall for you, and not a problem. It enjoys doing that. But you don't have to stall it. There's ways around that by keeping speed up around turns and so on and so forth. Whereas the Avanti was, I think, a little more forgiving in that space, and that's why I was able to also land a little slower with the Avanti. Now, a lot of other features go into this. If you're talking cost, this Viper as a bind and fly is less expensive than the Avanti plug and play buying the same receiver. So there's that. But when you're getting at this level where you're talking $600 to $700 planes, a little bit here or there, it gets into the other features. And the looks. I mean, truthfully, the looks of a plane are a big deal. I like the looks of this. Others really love that Avanti look. They just think it's sleek and very cool. So, it's a toss-up there. From a flyability, for me, this was better. And I enjoyed flying this a little bit better from a performance standpoint. But again, they had the identical power plants in those. A lot of the pieces, most of the pieces were identical. So it's a lot about the airframe and some of the other things. The Avanti has an option called thrust vectoring, which I haven't played with yet. I have sitting over in a box here in my shop, but I haven't played with it yet. I plan to do that. That's going to open up the Avanti a whole new way of flying. So we'll see where that stacks up with some other things. So anyway, if you have any questions, leave a comment. If you like this stuff, hit that like button. There's links in the description below for this plane and the Avanti. I also have some FMS discount codes. If you want to use those, it'll save you a couple bucks. Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Have a super day.